Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today's video will be a bit more of a casual one. We're just going to talk through the two latest skills in the game, that being aerial fort and acceleration burst. And I'm going to try this sort of unscripted, so we'll see how it goes. I was originally going to test these two skills, but then the greatest tester of the game, Amadeus, released his testing on acceleration burst only days after it came out. So, I mean, why do I need to test when the GOAT has done it? So today's episode is just going to be me talking through some of the key points that has actually been translated by Reddit user Voidrive, who's always been very reliable and helpful. So here we go. So the first one I want to go through is the aerial fort skill. Let's see if we can zoom in a little bit here. So key takeaway is aerial fort doesn't increase jump, so that's pretty self-explanatory. It doesn't gain height advantage per se. It doesn't make your player jump higher than your jump start indicates. And then the second one is interesting. Aerial fort is to guarantee you reach your jump height at ease. So that kind of just highlights the main point of this skill. If you watch my physical contact video, then you will have learned that physical contact sometimes can nerf your jump height. So say if you have a player behind sort of pressing on your shoulder, or you have a player in front of you and he sort of just gets in the way, you know, so that sometimes limit your maximum jump height, or you don't reach the maximum jump height. So what aerial fort does is that it will guarantee you reach that jump height no matter what. But then that kind of leads to the next point, is that because you don't jump higher, you can only jump to the max of your jump height can allow. So it's kind of useless if you against someone who has a higher jump height like Kohler. And this is very important, because if your defenders cannot reach a higher jump height than these players, then he will still lose headers. And then of course this leads to the next point as well. If you really want to shut down those aerial, I won't read this word, threats, you need a taller player basically, like Isaac Torre, and I can't really name another example, but you know what I mean. So basically height is somewhat more important than aerial fort. And obviously there's a lot more details in this post, which I'll of course link in the description. Again, yeah, aerial fort does not increase jump, and he's done a bunch of testing with different players. Okay, so again, just to reiterate, so what the hell does aerial fort do? So Amadeus tests that the trick to create real threats heading is to create a dynamic scenario. CF is running towards the post, CB is backtracking at the same time. In this situation, you can create a heading chance easier. Just to reiterate about the point of aerial fort guaranteeing your jump height, have a look at these examples here. This is the first one's without aerial fort. So you see Van Dijk, because he's backtracking and jumping at the same time, obviously it's harder to reach your jump height that way, so he loses out on the header here. But now let's look at the second example. It's much easier for him to head that ball away. So in some situations, aerial fort is useful, definitely, but again, Amadeus concluded that aerial fort was to guarantee you can reach your jump height ideally, even if your body posture is not that good during backtracking. This is why if the difference of jump height is too great, like Virgil versus Kohler, aerial fort is useless. So again, he says, to wrap this section, if you got stomped aerially from the beginning, aerial fort is useless. If it's somewhat even, then aerial fort is effective. If you want an ultimate aerial guardian, 193 to 95 centimeter CB with aerial fort is worse than a giant with 205 to 6 centimeter CB like Isaac Torre or NDI with a customized build. So again, yeah, to summarize this from what I've understood anyway, and I've sort of used it a little bit with Ruben Diaz, it is useful in the sense that, again, guaranteeing your jump height is a good thing, but to deal with someone who has a taller jump height than your player does, then it's kind of useless. So let's move on to Acceleration Burst, a skill that I've also tried a little bit, thanks to my superstar member, Serge, who's let me use his PS account, so I'll insert my 2 cents later. But again, the TLDR is, Acceleration Burst is classified as a feint, so it would ignore inertia. So kind of like, you know, if you use double touch sometimes in a different direction, then it would ignore kind of your player's momentum. So that's that. Acceleration Burst is best to be comboed with Finesse Dribble or changing direction from low speed. Yeah, that I agree a lot. Acceleration Burst is not really a speed burst in the sense that you can't use that to push the ball forward in the same direction you've been traveling. It only works when you change the direction. I think he's mentioned it here. So if you're kind of changing direction from a low speed, then it is quite effective. And number 3, only dribbling stats are relevant to the performance of Acceleration Burst. So by this he means the dribbling, ball control and tight possession. Higher stats would shorten the time needed to touch the ball again. Speed, acceleration and balance are irrelevant. So let's get into what is Acceleration Burst. It allows a player to trigger a special animation with sharp touch under some conditions. Mechanically, it is classified as a feint. What would trigger Acceleration Burst? Changing direction with sharp touch during non-dash dribble, so again, without the little blue ring under your player, and then also changing direction during dash dribble. So again, you can use it when you're sort of dribbling fast, but again, you can't add to the same direction. You have to you can only trigger it when you change direction, and also starting dribbling with sharp touch while standing still. Yeah, so again, if changing direction is not involved, then whether it's during dribbling, dash dribbling or non-dash dribble, Acceleration Burst would not be triggered. And also, yeah, this does not work with U-turns as well. So yeah, if it's not triggered, then it'll just be a normal sharp touch. So again, he's done a lot of testing here, which you can read again in the link in the description. I won't go through here. Yeah, again, he's going through which attributes affect Acceleration Burst. Yeah, and so we've seen in the summary at the top the dribbling stats, because if it allows a player to touch the ball earlier after performing god damn it, Acceleration Burst, then it is a bigger advantage. So with higher dribbling and tight possession stats, then your player would take less time to touch the ball again. So this is what this is referring about. And then his conclusion is that he thinks Acceleration Burst is a good skill but not an OP one. I do agree, like compared to like Blitz Curler, this is definitely not as OP. And yes, this skill requires tons of space to be effective. And yeah, the higher division you're in, the less space will be left. So yeah, I agree with that as well. And yeah, he thinks it is best to use Acceleration Burst around the edge of the box to create space to shoot. So what he means is that when you're on the edge of the box, then you use Acceleration Burst to cut inside. That'll create some space for you to shoot. And the last thing is, he says Acceleration Burst would push the ball much further. So physical battle may be more common before you can get the ball under control again. Yes, I've experienced this a lot. When you push the ball away, okay, initially the defender marking you might not react straight away, but then there might be another defender, or depending on where you're pushing the ball, then after the initial kind of mini freeze, then the defender can use his physical contact to get in the way. I think this is what he's referring later. He thinks the physical contact of Neymar, Yamal and Kubo are not high enough to really unlock Acceleration Burst. Imagine if Bale or Ronaldinho gets the skill. So yeah, if Bale with higher physical contact, then even when he pushed the ball away, then he can still use his physical contact to get in the way of the defender or prevent the defender getting in the way. So yeah, so my 2 cents on Acceleration Burst is that, again, I agree with Amadeus here. It's a good skill, but it's not really OP. It's fun to use, especially with Lamine Yamal. Sometimes it triggers some really weird animation, not animation, but the defender kind of freezes a little bit and not react to it sometimes. So I don't know if this will be changed a lot later. But yeah, that's kind of it really. That's the 2 latest new skills in the game. If you didn't get those cards, then I don't think you've missed out really. But do check out these posts, they're very helpful and very in-depth and detailed. So yeah, that's it really. Thank you for tuning in to this more kind of casual talk through video, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one.